And good afternoon to you too, Brenda. Get rid of these since I don't really need them. All right. And good afternoon, Kevin. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Trading Coaches Playbook. Let's go with everybody's favorite part, the disclaimer. Of course, this is all about education. And as I used to say and stopped saying, it's all about education and entertainment. Of course, no advice or recommendations here. Any trades we talk about, since it is about education, should always be considered as non-funded. We know trading involves risk, so we want to limit that as much as we can. And Freedom Management Partners personnel are not subject to trading restrictions. So, what's on the calendar? We got Monster Market Movers with Rob coming up on Monday. Of course, that will be the only class next week because Wealth Builders will be shut down for Christmas holiday for the entire week. But we couldn't find another slot, so that's where that one's going to land. And then week after that, we'll crank back up with, of course, Inner Circle as we do on Mondays. Then we'll have Trading You right after that at 8 p.m. on the 29th. And then, of course, we got Mastermind Group on Tuesdays at 8. Our free stuff power hour on Mondays. This Trading Coaches Playbook on Fridays. Won't have either one of those next week. The next power hour will be the 29th, and the next playbook will be on the 2nd. And then, of course, we've got our greatest hits with Pop, E-Mini Think Tank, and Covered Call Explorer. E-Mini Think Tank will crank back up on the 29th. Quick note for Covered Call Explorer. Obviously, we will not have an update next week, but we also may not have an update the week after that. I've got some stuff going on. So that one right now is tentative. If it changes, I guess really if you get an email, then the update is out there, but don't expect it. Okay, Norman, how do I access previous Trading Coaches Playbook? I'm pretty sure those are all posted to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and find either the Wealth Builders channel or just search for Trading Coaches Playbook, you should find it. I believe the most previous one is also posted on the website. Let's go take a look real quick in oh, where is it? Is it resources? In Wealth Builder, a WHQ TV. There we go. If we go look at that, oops, that's not good. All right, I'll need to check on that. Not sure if that's still a thing. That might be the URL that is oh, how about that? Big button that says WBHQ TV up there at the top. Come on, come on. There we go. And there is a replay of a much older one. There we go. So we've got several different things you can do there. Yeah. So there's lots there. So go check that out. Probably for more recent ones, you're probably going to find them on YouTube a little bit easier. So either one of those options should help. There you go. Thanks, Andrew. Let's see. So then we've also got, along with our calendar, we've got our free stuff, all the cool free stuff on the major social media platforms. So definitely go check that stuff out because that's the best price, right? It's free. And coming up, unlock a new special everyday classes, tools, and training at holiday only prices. So go check out what those prices are on the website. Should be some Christmas deals. So let's move on. You're welcome, Norman, with our normal stuff. If anybody's got any quick questions or comments you'd like to throw in the chat, please feel free to do so. And while everyone's furiously typing, we'll move on to our next piece, regularly scheduled piece, which is our review for the SPX and the VIX. So here is our my Omega charts of the SPX. I'm gonna blow that up. That's today's candle, I think, for maybe an hour ago, maybe a little less than that. So yeah, we got a big gap up and a run, and then gave it all back yesterday. I think a lot of that was because of the low CPI number, but I wonder if maybe the back and forth yesterday was because the PCE number on Tuesday was up and the CPI number yesterday was down. So we got kind of some conflicting information on inflation. But I guess everybody really liked that CPI number this morning because boom, I there was not let me look real quick. I don't think there was any news um until about 10 o'clock. I mean, there was some European stuff, but there was we had existing homes and revised University of Michigan stuff. Okay. Um, Now it could be for whatever President Trump said yesterday. I know he speaks today. He speaks tonight at 9. I think he's had another speech yesterday, but it was a quick one. A lot of geopolitical stuff going on out there, so we'll see what that might bring. Plus the fact that we're going into the holidays, so this could be a big day because everybody is getting ready for the holidays. And usually that's profit taking, but maybe people are finding positions. Another thing you'll see unusual activity during the last couple of weeks of the year because a lot of the ETFs are restructuring themselves to better mirror whatever index they are on, like in particular SPYs, Qs, IWM, and diamonds. And then a lot of mutual funds and things like that will, how do I put this politically correct, will make an effort to look really good for their end of year paperwork. So you can see some trades going on there that can cause some unusual activity, which could be some of this, but I think a lot of it is more around the uh, um, the economics and geopolitics that are going on in the world. Yeah, hey Roman. Yeah, we had, of course, there's the Oracle news out there where they are looking to be the purchaser of TikTok. Let's see, Oracle surges 4.5% on TikTok joint venture agreement. So yeah, so think they're going to be the major player in TikTok in the United States being controlled by an American company instead of ByteDance, which is Chinese. Let's see what else. A quick look at the VIX shows us exactly what we expect. It's just kind of hanging out down here. A decent day. I'm surprised that came down as much as it did, but okay. And then today, that's very expected. Big day up on the SPX, big day down on the VIX. So I'm not a big fan of it being down at 15, but all of the buyers out there certainly are. Let's see. And then real quick, let's pull this out of the way. I'm gonna slide this over and take a quick look at these are the indexes on 5 minute charts. Why not? Why not what, Brenda? I'm not sure what you're asking. Why not VIX? Okay, I need a little more information than that. You mean why I don't like it at 15? Because I'm a seller and I like it higher. um, I like it. Maybe I haven't talked about that in here. Of course, I'm doing Covered Call Explorer, so we do a lot of selling, but we also do diagonals, which are buying longer dated options and then selling very short dated options against them. It's kind of like a covered call, only we're using options as a proxy. So we're doing covered calls, naked puts, Wheel of Fortune, which is both, and then we're doing call diagonals and put diagonals, which is a long dated, long call, and a much shorter dated short call together. And same with puts. And then we're also doing iron condors, which is also a buying and selling position, one of each on each side with a bull put spread and a bear call spread. But so when the VIX is down here, usually that is better for buying. When it starts to get up in here, it gets a little bit more volatile, and the volatility can cause option prices to go up. So when option prices are down, which is what we would expect down here, it's better to buy. When option prices are up here, when VIX is up here, option prices are probably up, which means it's better to sell. I kind of like it in here in the 2021 range because that's high enough to where we can get good premium, but not so high that we'll have a hard time buying the longs. And the other thing I will say about it is when you start to get up here, it's just bad, period, because that's a lot of volatility. So that's a quick little VIX moment. Roman's asking on your covered call what day of the week you usually enter the trade. So we do our update on Thursday, which allows us to enter our trades on Friday or Monday. Depends on when the entry comes in. And, sometimes you'll get one on Tuesday, but as you get closer to most of our expirations are like for this week, our expirations will be the 26th for um, our shorts. And so as you get closer to that, obviously the premium starts to dissipate. And if you can't get any premium, there's no sense in doing it. But the best thing we can do is if we get our entry, we get in on Friday and then we get free theta burn on Saturday and Sunday. And on a really good Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend, we get theta burn on Monday as well. So we get free theta burn. Now, next week, we will get a free day of theta burn, actually, a free day and a half. The market closes on Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock. So it will be closed at 1 o'clock on Wednesday and will be closed on Thursday. Um, so that gives us some more quote free. We call it free theta burn just because the theta burns off without the market being active. Now, some of those holidays, you'll see a little bit of activity because there is futures activity on the indexes overseas, but for the most part, you're not going to see individual stocks move very much. So yeah, and then of course we'll get the same thing week, not only next week, but week after next, because the market will be closed on January 1st. Um, I looked at the schedule. There is no short day on the 26th of December or on the 31st of January or on the 2nd of January. So those are all regular days. The only special days are New Year's Day 1st, Christmas on the 25th, and half day on Christmas Eve on the 24th. So there you go. Let's see. So let's pull this out of the way. And what I wanted to show about the SPX is there's the gap, and then most of the movement was just right out of the gate. I mean, even before any 10 o'clock reports, which may or may not have had a lot to do with it, and then it's just gone sideways. And actually, kind of, that's a little bit of an ascending triangle. So maybe we'll see a little bit of an upward pop after lunch. Who knows? Sometimes you'll see that from an ascending triangle. And we're seeing a lot of the same from the others. There's the Dow, same, real big move up, a little bit bigger move up, or a little bit more move up, and then sideways. On the Nasdaq, we got a big move up and then sideways, just like the S&P, and then the rut, we got a big move up. We got a bigger move, a smaller move up again there right before this class started. Sometimes you'll see the Russell and the Diamonds do a little bit different. Usually the S&P and the Nasdaq are somewhat in sync, at least in their movement. Maybe not in the size of their movement, but at least the direction. So, all right. So lots of information, right? Lots of cool stuff. All right. One more thing, of course, earnings. We are entering the end of the current earnings cycle and preparing for the next earnings cycle. So, as I do in here when I teach in here on Mondays and Tuesdays, I show an email that I get from Earnings Whisperer, which gives us notable earnings for the coming week. Well, it's Friday, week's over, right? And there's rarely any post market earnings announcements on Fridays, just like there's very rarely pre market earnings announcements on Monday. Just the nature of it. But I will show you some notable things coming up that I kind of pay attention to. Like Levi, this is my unofficial end of the cycle, and that will be January 8th, post market, along with Delta the next day. And then we'll crank back up in the next week. This is what I see as the beginning of the cycle with the banks: JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, throw in Domino's Pizza and Abbott Labs. And then the next week, we'll see, of course, Alcoa, which is the unofficial start. I pay attention to the banks just because it's a week earlier. But we've got Netflix, so there's one that a lot of people watch. ISRG on the 20th, Tesla for Roman, and IBM on the 21st. And then, of course, Alcoa and Intel on the 22nd. And then the next week, we'll start into the teeth of the tech cycle with Google and Microsoft on the 28th and Apple and Amazon on the 29th. I think most of these are confirmed, but not all of them. You'll always want to check that for yourself. So there you go. Always watch your earnings. In particular, like this week, like that last week of January, first week of February for this year, those 2 weeks are mostly a lot of tech, a lot of big tech names. So you see a lot of movement in the indexes because they are so heavily weighted in those indexes. All right. So on to the topic du jour. As the email said, we're going to talk a little bit about tracking our trades with journals. So, do you track your trading? I think probably a lot of people have seen this quote, which is pretty much given to Carl Pearson. That which is measured improved, and that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. And then I like to add a little piece of it to myself. I'm sure somebody else has probably said it too. That which is measured, written, and reviewed improves astronomically. So, anyway, you know me, I'm all about not only tracking things, but reviewing them on a regular basis because that's where you get to see those patterns, right? So, something to think about. All right, here's the question. I want lots of participation. Do you track your trading? I want everybody to tell me yes. Let's see. We got a pretty good crew in here. Good deal. Um, so it's definitely something that you want to do. Yes, Brenda, one from Kevin. All right. I know Roman does. Uh-oh. Watch out. I'm gonna get on that, Arnold. So yeah, there we go, Ed. So my obligatory definitions that I like to throw in here most of the time. Definition of a journal: a record of experiences, ideas, or reflections kept regularly for private use. A record. Yeah, you better say yes, Roman. I'll come get you. A record of current transactions, an account of day-to-day events. I like this one, a log, a record of performance, events, or day-to-day activities. So, um, okay, yeah, as long as you're tracking it, Barry, that's really the most important part. Obviously, you really need to keep track of, no, if nothing else, your numbers. You know what your trade was, your entry, your exit, your P&L, the numbers of the accounting type numbers of it all. Um, I've heard people refer to it as a log, like a captain's log, where a captain keeps a log of everything that happens on the journey, so that if anybody needs to review something, it's written down. You don't have to try and go by memory, right? So as far as trading journals go, what do you put in a trading journal? So I'm going to go through a few things in general, what you did, how you did, when you did, and why you did, right? You know, your most of your adverbs, which always reminds me of Schoolhouse Rock, right? Anyway, along with that is what format, and there's a lot of different ways to do this. You want to tailor this. You as a trader, I'm going to say that you do something that works for you. Like Rob does all of his stuff in a spiral notebook. I do all of my stuff in a spreadsheet. Now, sometimes I will scribble out notes if I'm in a hurry and then transcribe those into the spreadsheet, but most of the time I'm doing the spreadsheet. Um, and that's a combination. You can do a combination of both. You can do something else, whatever works for you. Lots of tools out there nowadays where you can speak it and have your computer or your phone transcribe it for you. However you capture that information is up to you, but you definitely want to capture it. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. Of course, regardless of the format, consistent use of a trading journal can help you advance and succeed as a trader. I saw a good spike in my success. I wouldn't say success rate, but success as a trader when I realized this and started doing that. I didn't do it when I first started, but as I learned more about it along my journey and began to do it more and more, just capturing my numbers helped me. And then I added something else to it, which we'll talk about in a minute, that helped me, another bump up. And that's what we're looking up. It's just a bump up, right? So for your trading journal, what data are you collecting? So obviously your symbol, your date and time, what strategy are you using, your numbers, as in your entry, your stop, your target, your profit or cost, and anything else. This is really about all the accounting stuff where you want to account for these things so you can keep up with all the bukus of dollars you're making, right? Um, and then I like to throw in some reasons. So, what, oh, sorry, foreshadowing. Um, was it technical? Um, stops and targets are exits, Brenda. Sorry. Um, so, what was your reason? Was it technical? Was it fundamental? Was it news? Was it something else? So, what was kind of the crux behind, hey, I'm going to jump into this? And Les, I'm getting to that. Very good. So Les is asking, do you put in your feelings? You might discover an odd habit that is not really working, and you are correct. So some of the other things I like to track, and I do most of this in my personal journal, and then I might add it to my trading journal, is physical and health type stuff. So, how was my sleep? How is my nutrition? How is my movement and exercise? Am I getting things done? And most of the time, this is more helpful in exactly finding something that's not working for you, exactly like what Les mentioned in his comment. Is if I had a trade go against me, I will go back and say, okay, did I skip breakfast when I wasn't in a fasting window? Oops. What did I eat a bunch of crap? Did I not sleep well? Um, and then there's your mental fitness as well. Or do you have any emotions getting in your way? Do you have any distractions? Whether that is something going on at your other job, something going on with your family, something going on in the political news. Thank you, Les. These are the things that can kind of distract you. And sometimes I find myself Anybody in the lab knows, like this week in particular, I got a lot going on with end of year rollover and my programming job. And so there's a lot going on and there's other things going on. So it's very chaotic and probably 3 out of the 6 days these last 2 weeks in the lab, I've dropped out earlier than usual, and at least one day I missed, and one day I was in for like 15 minutes because I got pinged for something that needed my immediate attention. That's a distraction that will not serve me in trading. I'm out. I'm over here now. So yeah, those are the kinds of things you want to try and pay attention to. And then, of course, there are other things as well. You having equipment failure? Are you having a power outage? I noticed that Will and Scott are not here because they live in Denver, Colorado, and have no power. So they've got enough backup to where they were able to get into the lab this morning. But yeah, so when things like that happen, also location. Are you in a different location? Are you in a condo somewhere on vacation? Well, some people can trade there, some people can't. I know an example I gave when I first gave this presentation a few years ago. I was house sitting for a friend of mine, and I took my laptop, and it just, first of all, I'm in a strange place, so I'm probably not sleeping well. I'm sure everybody can relate to that. There you go. Les is in Denver. 100-mile-an-hour winds. So yeah, lots of outages and crazy stuff, right? But you might not sleep well. So there's one bad thing. You might not eat well on vacation. It might be really good, but it might not necessarily be good for you, right? You might be taking a break from your exercise, but you might just be in a different place. You might not have all of your equipment with you. You might have a laptop instead of a desktop and four monitors, so it's a different way of trading. It's funny when I did my house sitting for my friend. He is a tech guy, and it was funny because he had some equipment for a client of his that he needed to test. So I was his tester while he was doing something else. And I used that to trade. I had three monitors and I just hooked my laptop up to them. So anyway, those are just some of the many things that you may want to include in what you're keeping track of so that you can find patterns. It's just like trading. When you're looking at a chart, you're looking for a pattern, whatever that pattern is, and find one that serves your strategy, your setup to do what you're trying to do. Same thing with a journal. You review it so that you can find those patterns. You review it for trades that didn't go your way so that you can learn something. Remember, what's a successful trade? Did you have a plan? Did you follow your plan? And did you learn something? So if something doesn't go your way, you might want to review that one specifically so that you can find why did it not? Did it just happen to not go your way? That does happen, and that's okay. But was there something else involved? Was it a not great entry or a not great exit because of a distraction? You know, did you make a bad entry because the technical that you were using was not correct? Something. It could be anything. Those are just a few examples. So, when you review, you're identifying those trends and patterns in your trading, just like technical analysis of an equity. You're keeping yourself accountable. And I think that's very, very important in our trading is to keep ourselves accountable, maybe even get somebody to help us. Did you follow the rules? Why or why not? Are you doing this alone or with another trader? That's one of the great things about the Inner Circle Lab is that we've got some accountability going on there. So Brenda says, I'm getting a new computer today. It's going to have AI on it. They are going to help me set it up. What AI should I be using that is safe? Um, mm, I don't know that I, there's a lot of them out there, and they all kind of have a lot of the big ones do sort of different things. What I do is for more general stuff, I might be using a chat GPT or a Copilot. Although Copilot is moving down on my list. When it comes to finance and trading stuff, I'm using Perplexity, and I have a paid Perplexity Pro account for that because it's important. I know that Claude is really good for programming and coding, and also can be good with general questions and a little bit of finance. Grok, I've heard Grok is really good. I have not used it that much, but that's X. That's Elon Musk's. I think Tony uses that one a lot, I believe. And then Gemini is up and coming. The latest, I've seen a lot of good things about the latest version of Gemini, which is Google's AI, which is kind of, and that's the thing too. Like I use here, I'll show you. I use the Comet browser, which comes from Perplexity, and it kind of is built in, and it's got this little finance page, which is really cool. Um, And if you've ever done if you've done a search on Google, look at the first set of results. Most of the time, I won't say all of the time, but I think it is all of the time. The first set of results will be from Gemini, and it'll be a little bitty blurb, and you can hit the more button to expand it and show, all of it. Um, for trading, okay, I'm not completely following your train of thought there, Brenda. Like I said, I like to use Perplexity for trading related questions and inquiries and building plans and stuff like that. Um, for trading TOS, if you're using TOS, that's fine. That's the platform that I use. I don't know that they have a specific AI agent within their platform. But yeah, and Brenda's saying I'm terrified of it, so I don't know what to do. And that's very, very common. I am a little bit to the other side of that because I am a tech person. I am a programmer, so I've been in tech most of my adult life. So this stuff doesn't really scare me as much, but you always have to be, um, what's the word I'm looking for? You always have to watch out with what's happening. Even when you're using AI, you want to review your answers. And if there are links, you want to look at those because one of the things you will get from AI is what they call hallucinations, which is basically bad slash wrong answers. So you will see that every once in a while. So you want to be careful of that. But yeah, it's a tool like anything else. You use it. I don't think you absolutely have to use it, but if you don't use it, you will begin to fall behind eventually. I think it's one of those things like a computer. Eventually, you won't have a choice. Just because you'll be behind those that are. I've seen a lot of stories. Um, Initially, you saw a lot of stories about AI is going to take your job. No, it's not. Well, it might, but for most jobs, AI is not going to take your job. Another person who utilizes AI to do that job better than you is going to take your job. So that's kind of where I'm getting to. You want to have that tool and you want to use it, and the more you use it, the better you get at it. So it's just a matter of diving in and asking even silly questions. I think it was Trader Will that gave me one of the better questions. Look in your refrigerator and find a whole bunch of stuff that's been in there for maybe a little bit too long, but it's not bad yet, and make a list and go to the AI agent of your choice and say, I have all of this in my refrigerator. Give me a recipe to make something delicious out of it. Okay. So there are other ways to use AI to do a lot of different things. But yeah, to help you in trading, it's more about um, financial news, maybe get some insight into why something might have happened. Also, we use it a lot in Inner Circle to build our trade plans, to identify, assess ourselves as traders, to identify our risk profiles, so things like that. All right. So let's move on to tracking trends on your health and fitness and how that affects your trading. What do you see and what do you need to adjust? Do you need to adjust anything? That's where you notice those patterns, and what works for you, you double down on, and what doesn't work for you, you at least mitigate if you can't eliminate, right? And monitor your progress. So, is your account growing? Is your knowledge expanding? Is your experience improving? Look at your journal and your journaling process. Is there anything you can tweak to make that better? And what about just your life in general? You know, growing, improving. So, these are some of the things you want to do as you review your journal to use that as a tool to improve yourself and your trading. I don't know, Brenda. It is what it is. So, what can a trading journal do for you? So, I kind of threw a whole bunch of stuff in here at the end that I just want to go over. It can tell you the outcome of each trade. Okay, big deal. You don't need a journal to do that, but it can help you keep track of it. Provide detailed information about profits and costs. Help identify trends of common mistakes, again, where you're reviewing it and saying, oh, this did not work for me. Why didn't it work for me? Identify those mistakes. Record your emotional wellness during each trade. Are you finding any patterns of excitement or nervousness or anything else that isn't serving you, and maybe find a way to lessen it? You're not going to be able to get rid of it, but maybe lessen it if it's affecting you adversely. Help identify the trade setups that are most profitable. You might have 5 different setups and find out through reviewing your journal, these 3 work really, really well, and these 2 are just costing me money all the time. Throw them out or put them aside. That you might want to come back to them later, but for the time being, you might want to put them aside. Um, Help identify trade setups that end up wasting your time. Maybe they're not costing your money, but maybe they're not making you money either. Maybe they take a lot of time to set up. So those are some of the things you want to look at there. Show trends of your entries and exits for possible improvements. You're always looking for that little tweak, that little nugget that'll give you a bump up. Brenda, I don't do well holding overnight either. My covered call and diagonal stuff is the only thing that I hold overnight. Most everything else, I'm probably scalping. An occasional day trade with one contract runner at the end. But yeah, in the market we're in right now, it's a little difficult to hold overnight. So that's perfectly normal. Find reasons why you missed trades. That's another thing where you might want to look at your plan and find out what's not in your journal. Okay, why? Did the entry not present itself? Okay, fine. Did it present itself and you missed it? Were you doing something else? Were you doing another trade? Okay, I do that all the time. I'm trading AMD and I missed Micron because they both happened at the same time. You can't do both of them at the same time necessarily. I'm sure somebody can. I'm not that good yet. Um, Find reasons why you overtrade. Overtrading is not a good thing. Amelia has a really good rule of if you don't have time to journal your trade as soon as you're done with it, at least write down the numbers as soon as you're done with it, then you're over trading. It makes sense to me. So, maybe not for you, but that's something you want to stay away from because over trading, revenge trading, things like that can not serve you. A few other things: spot times when you drifted away from your plan. Again with the trends, identify keying errors, technical issues, equipment malfunctions, so that you can do something about it. Right? If you don't know about it, you can't do anything about it. Understand how economic events and news impact your trades. Are you paying attention to earnings announcements? Are you paying attention to Fed rate announcements and minutes announcements and press conferences? Whatever. CPI, PCE, PPI. Help you improve your trading technique. And this is just kind of a general where you're using a lot of different things just to tweak your techniques. Provide historical perspective on market conditions and their impact on your trade. Is there something happening over and over and over again that you need to watch out for? Help you change any destructive habits into constructive ones. Always want to do that. Again, with the identifying these patterns and finding the ones that work for you and fixing the ones that don't as much as you can. Find certain time intervals that are better for you and others that are not. You can't trade all day. I don't know anybody that has found it good or useful to just trade all day long. A lot of people trade from 9 to 11, 9 to 12. That's what I do. I'm usually doing 9 to 11. The only thing I'm doing in the afternoons is any management and possibly looking at entries for covered call explorer stuff on Friday afternoon, Monday afternoon. Um, but for the most part, that's kind of over trading if you're just trading all the time. But there are people that don't do well on the open. Maybe you don't want to trade from 9 to 11. Maybe you're doing something else from 9 to 11. Okay, what about 2 to 4? Maybe you only have time at lunch, and that's okay. Just make sure that you're not trading, you're not getting into something just for the sake of getting into it. There are opportunities during the lunch hours. Sometimes they might be a little less profitable, but you know. Oh, Brenda, never ever give up on AMD and Micron. But Micron's big thing, they killed at earnings. They have shifted their focus less away from consumer and retail and more into big companies and AI type stuff. So that's part of their big pop recently. Other things for your trading journal: discover if your trading approach has changed or needs to change. When I first started, I've told you guys this before. When I first started, the idea of scalping made me break out in hives, and now, just like Brenda's talking about, the idea of holding overnight makes me break out in hives. So and time changes, people change. You just kind of you want to shift and move and dance with things as they change, but you have to realize them. This is a really good tool to use to realize some of these things. And a slew of others. Obviously, I'm always going to put other or something else because I can't possibly come up with every entry for any of these lists. But keep it simple and master it. And again, if you can't record it, do not trade it. And this is kind of that over trading rule that I mentioned that Amelia came up with. So yeah, but it's like everything. Start small, master it, and grow it. You don't have to start off with this big monstrosity of a trading journal that you have to capture all this data. Just capture the numbers. That's all you need to start with. Add the rest as you get more comfortable. So, if anybody's got any more questions about this particular topic or anything that I've talked about, throw them in the chat. And of course, Mark Twain, honesty, the best of all the lost arts. I love Mark Twain's humor. It's really funny, but it's applicable to this because, as I said, these journals can help you become accountable. And you have to be honest with yourself to be accountable for yourself. So there you go. And not to be forgotten, of course, the old disclaimer one last time. So we got a few minutes, and I will be looking at charts. So throw in your symbols of anything you want me to look at. And I will go, oh, let's do symbols. I will go immediately to the spies. Oh, I didn't want that. Hold on just a second. I want that to stay there. I want to go to this tab. And then I'll go to spy. So this is always a good one to look at, right? There's a little bit bigger picture. We'll zoom in on it and we can see, oh, I want to make note. Look at this. Bottom, top, bottom, top. Is that a channel? Oh my, is that a channel I see? So yeah, lots, and this is the SPX looks just like this, obviously. So what we have here is right up into the 236. How about that? And right at the 8. So if this were the close of the day, this would be a great setup looking forward to Monday for a number one grade because we've got double confluence with two moving averages right at a Fibonacci level. Wow. Just doesn't get a whole lot stronger than that. Now the position of the price is really good for a switchback. Now, I want to show you something here. A move up and a bounce and a go. Oh, I don't have my pen on, do I? Come on. Come on. These computers just don't work fast enough, do they? You get a move up and a bounce and a go, or you get maybe a move down and a bounce and a fail. But please note on that fail, you actually want to make sure you get past those moving averages right there. So if you move up and fail, you want to get past this level at 60, 67, 70, 679-ish before you get into it. Just because those roadblocks can cause you troubles if you don't allow your price movement to get past them, right? So yeah, really nice. Our upside targets would be 6. There's a little blue zone between the all-time high at 6. What is that? Is that 689? 689.80 and 688.39. So that's a little bit of a blue zone. You want to watch out for a magic line that I do not have. Oh, I don't have any of my lines. What is going on here? Um, So, let's do this. Let's pull this back down. And I want to do, I think it's 2. Okay. Missed it by 20 cents. So we need, and that would be, we got another blue zone right there between the 698 and the 700. So those are our two upside targets. Downside target, we're looking at 674 and then 670. So, or 669 and a half. So there you go. I'm going to cheat real quick while we're doing this and put my 600 in there. I don't know why that's not in there. Um, and so let's take a look at, let's do this and that a little bigger. Let's go take a look at the Qs. So very similar, slightly different, but very similar. I'll zoom in on that. I do have my 600 line. Do I have my 700? Nope. Sorry, don't mean to be doing chart maintenance while we're in here, but I want to. Um, oh, I did that already, didn't I? There we go. Sorry. Um, there we go. So let's make this where you can see it. We're going to pull it down a little bit, but yeah, very similar. Um, not quite up there yet, so that's more of a grade of a two if this were the close. But probably looking for, we could go either way, but on the downside, our averages are a little bit lower, so we're going to hit those speed bumps. The downside on a switchback for the Qs is a little bit tougher. So we would really prefer to see an upside move, an up bounce and go. And our upside targets there would be 629, and then we're going to say 637 for that all-time high. All right. GLD. Let's make that a little bit bigger. And oh, we have long since popped out of our. Oh, that's not what I wanted, but I can do it from there. Um, So we're getting up towards that zero line, and I did not mean to click on that. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's pull this out so we can see what we're doing. Got a big move up. So a retracement, which is to be expected. What do we like to do for this? I know what I like to do is one of these. So we'll start. We'll start at A and go to B and come down to C and see where that puts us. So we've got a little bit of confluence at the 136. Let's see, that's 20. Oh, wow. So we've actually got too much area in here. That's a, well, no, just right. That's 11. That's still pretty big. That's a big fib for gold. But I think we're just inside our range. Maybe a little, that may be a little bit big. Yeah, so we've got what looks like, let's open that up so we can see what we're doing. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere right now. If we continue to move up, we could get a grade of two up at that zero line. For right now, downside trades, lots of speed bumps, but I certainly don't expect anything major to the downside on gold. Might see a little bit of this sideways motion since that's what the market's doing. And gold is so high, all-time high, um, that I think so anyway, or close to it. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. GLD is definitely at all-time high. Um, So, sometimes when we get to those all-time highs, it falters a little bit. Go up and test it. See if we can break that zero line, and that would be another move up. For right now, I'm not sure that's a directional trade that I would want to do. Um, yep. All right. So, what else? Of course, we got to look at Micron because it took off. So gotta move my all-time high up. Big candle today. Big gap. That was earnings. Big gap. I think they had. I think they blew through earnings like 10% or 12% or so. It was crazy. Um, so yeah, big huge move up. We are sitting right at that minus 272. So we've got a nice switchback, but we're way away from our averages. So we want to be careful. We want to use something different than maybe an eight or a five moving average for our stop. But we do have some nice movement. We've got a little blue zone at our all-time high up there. So upside target would be 269 and 279. Downsides would be probably 249, and then I would probably have hesitation at that 8. I'd tend to put it down here at the 237, 237. Let's see. All right. Yeah, there's a good one. Netflix, of course, split recently right here. Did a 10 for 1 split a month ago. Uh, and it was already drifting down and then it just freaking collapsed. But we're going sideways right now. We kind of found some support right there. So be interesting. I know several people that are looking to buy. One in particular runs this company. Um, and he's looking for it down here. Now we've got earnings coming up on the 20th, so we want to be careful of that. We're outside of our 21-day window for now, but we want to be careful of that. But you look at the history of this, it's like down, sideways, up, down, down. It does this, it steps. So could this be another move down? Sure could. Could it be a move up? Sure could. As far as Netflix itself goes, um, I would expect it to go sideways for the rest of this year, with a little bit of bump. But that's a long time to go sideways. So we'll see. When the year starts back up, you might see some increase in subscriptions depending on what the economy's doing. So you could see some different things. When you come up to earnings, they could have awesome earnings. Boom, could take off. So we'll see. For right now, it's just kind of sitting. It's in a good place for a switchback. I just don't know that it's going to give it to us. If it does give it to us, um, the downside is a little bit better simply because that eight's in our way, but it won't take a lot to get away from the eight. So you could take a move down from 95. First target would be 90, second target would be 82. That's eight. Yep. That is not going to be 82. That next target is going to be 86 because that we need a fibet there. If it gets up and bounces and runs, our first upside is 99, between 99 and 100, that blue zone right there. And of course, we're going to get past the 21 if we get out of that blue zone. Our next upside target would be 103. So yeah, we've got. I mean, there's plenty of room to move here. Um, it's not moving that much right now, and I think this is where you get into. This is what you get into with stock splits. You have a period of time where everybody, including the company, has to get used to the fact that they've got 10 times more shares than they did a month ago. That was 10, right? Yeah. So it takes some acclimation time, but historically, splits tend to go back to where they started, but it depends on how much time. And with that big of a split, sometimes it's going to take more time. It might take 3 or 4 or 5 years to get back to where it was, which I can't even remember where it was. Let's see. Let's unsplit. So we were up at 1,000. So the idea of going from 100 to 1,000, yeah, I don't see that happening anytime real soon. Could be 5 or 6 years, you know, depends. Anything can happen, right? But yeah, this is not one, this is more of a longer term play. I'm sure there's scalps out there. I know I've been watching it for scalps since the split because it brought it back down into my price range. But it's just been recently that the options have been priced well enough and the bid ask spreads have not been this wide, so that it could be traded with that Hakanashi scalp strategy. So I've been looking at that a little bit more lately. It's on my list. It's presented itself, I think, once in the last couple of weeks. I don't remember. I'm gonna say I didn't get into it. Did I? Dun, 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 dun. No, I have not gotten into Netflix yet, but it's definitely on my list. So let's see. There we go. Pull that out of the way. Um, does anybody have anything else they want to look at? Because that's the post. Hit the post 1 o'clock. So we're gonna call it done. Let Andrew go on and do some more stuff for the day. And unless if anybody's got a burning desire, I'll do one more, but I don't see it in the chat. So let's call it. And everybody have a good weekend. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. In the immortal words of Billy Valentine, Merry New Year. I hope everybody knows what movie that's from. Um, and we'll see you next time we're here. Thanks.